As you can tell in the last video, we were pretty into that van.
Some part of me was like, we can never get the first one.
Alright, it's been a little bit since we have taken an update video. After the first test drive, we were mentally very prepared to get that van, if you couldn't tell.
We thought we were just going to test drive. Didn't think that we'd be serious about any of the vans, just to give it a first run.
So we had to start looking into loans.
We looked at so many different financing options. We looked at different banks. We looked at different, like using Carvana or something like that. It's just such a long process. But basically, we finally found like a local credit union that I was eligible for because I worked. One of my contracts that I did was in that area, and they said that was enough proof that they needed, so. We were kind of holding off, like test driving more vans until we got the loan thing figured out. By the time the local credit union accepted our application, it was like mid-September. I remember we test drove like the first week of September, so we were just getting nervous. We're like, how much longer can this go before, you know, he sells a van? But he did say that he had it for like months without it selling. So we were like, okay, pretty confident, like we just gotta get this figured out and then we can contact him and then go buy it. Like easy peasy, right? It'll take a week. Yeah. We'll get it figured out and tell you next week that we have a loan. No, it took so long. And then after that, once we have the loan, we're like, okay, great, let's go get the van. But it's not that easy because it's a small credit union. They have to do a clean loan value. So let me just quickly explain the process of that. They had us send the information for the van, the VIN, the year, make, model, the link to the Car Guru's website so they could see everything. After that, it took them like a few weeks to get back to us with like an actual amount that they would give us, that they can actually write the check, because they base it off of like its history, its accidents, it's like safety features. There's just like a whole list of things that they have to check. They literally gave us an official offer on October 4th. And we're like, okay, we gotta get this van tomorrow. Literally that next day, that van sold. The van sold. I was so frustrated. We were so frustrated. We were, as you can tell in the last video, we were pretty into that van. Even though it was the first one we test drove, it was just like it's so good. It checked all the boxes. Some part of me was like, we can never get the first one. We got to at least test drive a few others. But we really liked that van. And we looked at a lot of vans, even though we only test drove a few. But so then after that, it was, you know, beginning of October. It's the same process, kind of just starting from square one. But at least now we have the loan. So we're like, okay, we can actually schedule test drives, right? So like what would happen is we would find like our top 5 vans. So we would just send them like 5 at a time. So it would take like about a week for them to get back with us with like an actual quote, clean loan value for each of those. We had to kind of wait until we had the clean loan value so we knew if it was worth it. Like if they were only going to give us like 10,000, then we're like, there's no way we're going to come up with the other 10,000. So it's not even worth test driving. We had to basically wait until we got that number to know if it was like worth it. We would send in everything we needed to the credit union and wait a week until they got back to us. And by that time, some of the vans sell, and that's it. Or we get the values back and we're like, it's too low, we just can't do it. So we ended up applying for a bigger credit union. I didn't realize that if my parents or like any relative or family member that's part of a credit union, you're also eligible to like apply for loans through. We got accepted late October. So this was like all of October basically. Mm-hmm. No test drives, just this whole process. Finally got an auto draft check from them for $16,000. So like, awesome, we don't have to do the clean loan value thing. We literally have the check in our hands. So like we could go to any test drive and just hand it, pay for, like it's so much easier and quicker. So I was like, I'm so glad we did that. So now at least we have 2 different loan options. Okay, and then we found this van on Car Guru's that looked like a really good option. We were more interested in it because it had the bunk windows already. We were like, okay, 2 less windows we need to cut. Right? Yeah, true. You know, yeah. That was pretty sick. So and the back windows. Yeah, and it had back windows. Because back windows are like $300 each, and we're like, that's like $600 that we don't have to spend. Mm-hmm. And the guy had it listed for like $19,000. Yeah. We're like, no way.
Yeah, so it was a private seller.
Meaning we could only use the small credit union because the bigger credit union doesn't work with private sellers. So we're like back to the process of, all right, we got to send them the VIN and all that stuff. When I first messaged the guy, and then he messaged me back on Car Gurus, and it was very like hard to understand him, kind of broken English, but he had a Hispanic name. So I was like, I wonder if he speaks Spanish. So I asked him, and he did. So it was such a smoother conversation speaking in Spanish. So anyway, it just adds to the complication of me having to coordinate this whole plan in Spanish with this guy, making sure that we both understand what's going on.
Yeah, so I think it was towards the end of October. There was a Halloween party in like my hometown.
2 Halloween parties.
Yeah, we went to 2 Halloween parties.
In the same night. Oh, that was the same night.
Yeah, so that weekend we'd kind of planned to meet up with this guy who lived in New Jersey. So it was working out because, you know, I'm from like central PA, like Harrisburg area.
And I remember we stayed with your aunt and uncle.
Yeah, so then we were supposed to drive from my aunt and uncle's house, but we pulled off in a parking lot because this guy had not responded all weekend. So we're sitting in the car. I'm like, I don't want to drive however long we have to drive if this guy isn't responding.
Yeah, we waited there for an hour. He never answered.
So we kind of cut our losses, and we went home.
Drove back to Pittsburgh. Then what happened was we got back, and he answered. He said, are you still interested? I'm like, yeah, we just have to find another day to meet up because it was just convenient that we were already halfway, you know. And Andrew's like, well, we're probably going to go back like for either Thanksgiving or Christmas. So we were so interested in this van, and it was like the most affordable one we could find. So we were like, it's worth a shot, you know. We also realized though, okay, we were just meeting up to test drive it. Again, it's like the same mistake as the first test drive. Like if we're interested, we need to be prepared to buy it like that day. So then we realized, oh, we don't have like all this stuff prepared. Like we had the clean loan value from our credit union, but we didn't actually have like the check from them. So we're like, all right, we have until now and potentially Thanksgiving to figure that out. And that was October 30th that we tried to meet with him. So we had like a couple weeks to figure that out. The person we're working with at our credit union said, okay, because it's a private seller, she needs to have a fax or copy of the title from him and some other information so that she can look into it and actually write us a check with his name on it. Because she can't just take his name from our word, you know? So we're like, okay, makes sense. So I coordinated that with him, no problem. He sends it over and he faxes the other thing to her. Then we have news from the credit union saying he actually has a loan on the car. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And she basically told me that, well, you have to have him figure that out with you. Just another hurdle in this whole process. Well, we asked him how he's gonna pay for that loan. And he said, well, I was waiting until you paid me for the van and then I'd use that money to pay the loan. We basically had 3 options. Option 1 is he would take the credit union's check and our money, cash it, and then have to use that money to pay off his loan. But that's like the most risky option. It would take time for the check to cash. Then he has to pay that off right away. That's just like, it's too risky. So option 2 is he would have to take out a personal loan to pay off the auto loan. So then he has his own personal loan that's not connected to the van. So then it's also a clean slate. We can buy the van from him. Then he can still use that money to pay off the personal loan if he wants to, but either way, it's not connected to us. No problem. Right. This brings us to option number 3, which is basically something called an escrow service. So we would have to find an escrow service in New Jersey to basically help us negotiate the deal and to separate his auto loan from the title in the van so that he can keep the auto loan and we can send the title and pass it off to our credit union and just pay for the van. So we'd have to basically do that with them so they could like do the work to separate it. So we're looking into escrow services in New Jersey. We're asking him if he can get another loan. And
anyway, so we still held up hope.
Yeah.
And
we figured it out. We found some options for escrow services.
Yeah, we planned on meeting the weekend after Thanksgiving. Yeah. So like kind of the same thing.
Yeah, right.
And he ghosted us again.
Yeah, I made sure he's going to be there, and he said, I'll be there. I promise I'll be there.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, this sucks. We waited the whole weekend. No answer.
So there goes that option.
So we're like, not dealing with this anymore. Just move on. Back to square one, looking at all these vans again. Just every day looking at Car Gurus. Every day. And it's also like the holidays. So like in between Thanksgiving and now Christmas, like there's not much we could do. Over the last, September, October, November, December, the last 3 months, we've inquired about over 50 vans. Easily, probably 70, who knows. But we were really serious about 7 or 8 of them that we had a good clean loan value for, that we were gonna try to make it happen. But then there were also 4 vans that we scheduled test drives for that sold before we even got to the test drive date. So it's it's an incredibly frustrating process of we've literally only test driven that first van. This is ridiculous. We've looked at so many vans and we can't even get a test drive in. And now it's the holidays, so it's you just kind of have to wait until January. Now the other problem is the auto draft check that we got from the bigger credit union expires at the end of February. So we are crunch time now. We have
only have a couple of months.
2 months, less than 2 months to figure this out. And we have to reapply to that.
Yeah.
And the other one, the small credit union, expires in April. So we have a little more time with that one, but it'd be easier to use the other one. Mm-hmm. So pressure's on, but I guess we'll keep you updated. Hopefully we find the van soon. Now we gotta just get ready for our Poconos trip. So excited.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Oh, cute.
We just want to take a quick update. We have 3 vans that we're seriously looking at right now.
Yeah, they're not too far away. We have one in Maryland, one in Philly, one in New Jersey. So we got to just set up some test drives for those, but they really are good options.
Yeah, so we kind of want to plan them in like a 3-day span, a whole weekend.
Knock them out in one weekend.
Yeah, we haven't ironed out the details yet, but hopefully the next video that you see
is us actually test driving the vans.
Yeah.
All right, we just wanted to update the situation, the van situation.
It's hard to not look at the screen. It's so hard.
Okay, then just don't look at it.
All right, quick update. We got a quick update.
You got a quick update.
Update! All right, that's dumb. No. Okay, we just wanted to make a quick little update. Okay.
No, quick.
Stop. All right, we just want to make a little update. It sounds like we're having a kid.
We're having a little bit of an update now.